gives us power because we are kings and our words matter. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. That means, if the Lord is my shepherd, if He is the supplier of my need, there is no chance for me to be poor again. I get rid of that poverty mentality for now and forevermore. It is not possible for me to be poor because I trust in the Lord Jesus Christ and He is my shepherd.
Blood of the Lamb, the word of our testimony, everyone overcome. We have overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, everyone overcome. We have overcome by the blood of the Lamb, the word of our testimony, everyone overcome. We have overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, everyone overcome. Everyone, let's just sing that. We have overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, everyone overcome. We have overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, every overcome. We have overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, everyone overcome.
The gospel transforms and changes people, my friend. The gospel must transform the poor. The gospel must set the people free from the poverty mentality where they begin to think, I cannot possibly be poor. It's impossible for me to be poor. Many years ago, when I was listening to a preacher preach on prosperity, he said, I will never be poor again in my life. I thought, my God, he is just a big heretic, How can he be so sure? Then I started hearing, because I like his other teaching, It made sense to me, and it was very biblical. So I started hearing his other teaching. Then I found out the answer is very simple. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Translated to simple words, it means I can never be poor. Hello. You can't say it any simpler than that. But our mind doesn't get the message sometimes. It has to come as a revelation. The revelation of the gospel sets the people free. Now, if you prefer to think that so one fellow said, we got to be open-minded, brother. We can be poor, we can be rich. I don't want to be so open-minded. Really, to tell you the truth. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. That means, if the Lord is my shepherd, if He is the supplier of my need, there is no chance for me to be poor again. I get rid of that poverty mentality for now and forevermore. It is not possible for me to be poor because I trust in the Lord Jesus Christ and He is my shepherd. See, poverty is a mentality and prosperity is a mentality also. Before you get any money in your pocket, you got to get the mind right, my friend. Got to get the mind thinking right. And when you get the mind thinking right, I'll tell you, nobody can beat you down to poverty because prosperity is the portion that God has made it out for you in your life. Amen? So that is what really I understand when I read Psalm 82 when it says, how long will He judge unjustly, accept the persons of the wicked, defend the poor and the fatherless, do justice to the afflicted and the needy, deliver the poor and the needy, rid them out of the hand of the wicked. God is saying to the church, to the people of God, do something spiritually. You are supposed to do something spiritually. There's plenty of people doing something naturally. That's all right to do something naturally. But this is talking about doing something spiritually about their problem. What have you done? Because spiritually you are kings. Spiritually, you're gods. Spiritually, you're able to turn around the situation that is happening around you. Spiritually, you're able to make a difference in this world. Spiritually, what are you doing? I'll tell you, I'm doing my part. Hundreds of people have come here and found that spiritually they have been set free from bondage to poverty, set free from bondage to this oppression. Set free from their captivity to so many various bondages. Healed from being broken-hearted. That is what this church is all about, and that is what we are here for. We're doing something about it. Now listen to this. Verse 5. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. Talking about the people, it says they just don't know. Neither will they understand. They just walk in darkness. This is not talking about darkness that comes on when you turn off the light. This is talking about ignorance, you see. People walk in such ignorance. They just don't even know they are in bondage. They just don't even know what is happening. People that are in bondage don't even realize what is happening to them. They think everything is all right. They think this is life. They don't even know what is happening. That is the condition of the world. They're in bondage, they just don't know. They're in such ignorance. They're just in darkness. They can't see the truth. They just don't understand. What a picture of the world. That is the kind of world that we live in. And what are you doing about it? The gospel that we preach and what we do spiritually must be an eye-opener for them. It must shed light. It must bring the light of the truth to set them free. Now listen to this. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. See, God has laid some foundations for this earth, the way things ought to be. God has intended for it to be like that. The foundations of the earth were laid by God. But ever since the fall, the devil has been trying to change the foundations and wanted to lay his own foundations. And so society is full of corruption today. Society is full of injustice today. Society is full of oppression today because that has become the foundation. The greed and the selfishness, all of these things have become the foundations instead of what God has put as foundation. Now, foundations of the earth are out of course. It says there's a problem. Everything has gone wrong, he says. Now let me take you to the Gospel of Mark. Let me show you an example of how you deal with these things as you live in this world. There is a great example there in Mark's Gospel chapter 4. Let me start with verse 35. We're going to read a long passage, but I'll explain as I go. And the same day, when the even was come, he saith unto them, Let us pass over unto the other side. And when they had sent away the multitude, they took him even as he was in the ship, as there was also with him other little ships. And there arose a great storm of wind, and the waves beat into the ship, so that it was now full. And he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow. And they awake him, and said to him, Master, carest not thou that we perish? And he arose and rebuked the wind, and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great storm. And he said, Why are ye so fearful? How is it that you have no faith? And they feared exceedingly, and said one to another, What manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? Now, we have all read this story, but we have not really understood it in context. They're all traveling to go to the other side of the sea, the country of the Gadarenes. It says in chapter 5, verse 1. That is where they are headed. And in their journey in the ship, all of a sudden, there is a great storm of wind, and the waves beat into the ship, so that now it's full of water. And Jesus is sleeping. And they come and wake him up, saying, Are you not worried that we are sinking? And he awakes, and he just simply calms the sea and commands the sea to be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. All this time the storm was raging, but now there was a great calm. Things changed just like that. And everyone was astonished. They said, My God, even the wind and the waves, all of these things obey him. Who is he? What kind of a man is he? They said. But they did not understand what was happening really. Jesus understood what really was happening. He was going across the sea to the country of the Gadarenes to preach the gospel there, because that is a territory where the devil has had a stronghold and is operating there and holding the people under bondage. He's on a journey to go and set them free and to establish the kingdom of God there on the other side of the sea. That's where he's headed. He's going there with a purpose. And on the way, the storm comes, and he realizes the storm is not from God, it is from the devil. It is from the devil that wants to stir up a storm in the sea so that he can drown the steam that is coming over to put an end to his rule and reign there. Now, some people think that every storm that comes, for some Christian people, if a storm comes in the middle of the sea, immediately they'll say, Lord, I'm coming home, That's why you need to be careful which boat you get into and with whom. Because some of them will take you to heaven in no time, As soon as the storm comes, they think it's God. Any disaster, anything good or bad happens, they think it's immediately God. They don't have any discernment of what's happening. They don't understand what is happening. Jesus didn't think like that. Jesus didn't look at the storm and say, well, maybe God has sent this thing for some good reason, Let's commit ourselves to God and be ready to die, No, he didn't take that approach. When he saw the storm come and threaten, he just got up and said, Peace, be still. And there was great calm. He knew that this was the work of the devil coming against him, because he's trying to do the work of God. He's trying to cross the sea to get to the other side, to preach the gospel, establish the kingdom. And here is the devil trying to come and stop him. He realized that fully. And that is why he commanded the sea to be still, and the sea became calm. The disciples couldn't understand. They said, my God, even the sea obeys him. And they were astonished. And now listen to chapter 5. They came over to the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. See, there is welcome waiting for him. As soon as Jesus arrives there, this fellow with the demon in him knows the deliverer has come. Because he knows. The devil in him knows. Because the devil is the one that has been causing all the problem in the sea. And now Jesus didn't drown in the sea, he has come across on the other side. And when he just came out of the ship, immediately, it says, there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no one could bind him, no, not with chains, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains had been plucked asunder by him, and fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him. Nobody could tame him, contain him. Any fetters, any chains put on him, he just breaks them and gets free from it. And always night and day he was in the mountains and in the tombs crying and cutting himself with stones. So here is a terrible fellow. He's demon possessed. Here is a picture of what the devil does to a person. When the devil gets into a person, when you open the heart to the devil and allow the devil to get inside of you. See, many times people allow this in a course of time. Doesn't happen all of a sudden just like that. People just cooperate with the devil, do the devil's works, and live a devilish life and so on. Like that, they open their life to the devil slowly. They open little by little, and sometimes what happens is finally they open their very heart to the devil. And the devil comes in and possesses them. See, they've been playing with the devil. They've been having a party with the devil. They've been going out with the devil. They've been doing things with the devil. But all of a sudden they open their heart to the devil, and the devil gets in there. And boy, when the devil gets in there, he gets in the business of tearing up that person. And here is a picture of what the devil does when he gets into a person and takes a hold of a person and takes possession of a person. Here is the perfect picture. This fellow is tearing himself up in the mountains and in the tombs. He's sitting there crying, terrorizing that whole area, cutting himself with the stones. I mean, who would ever do that in the right mind? The devil just hurting him. Devil got into him and tears him up and wants to literally destroy him and kill this guy, just waiting to just kill him. I mean, if Jesus didn't go there, I believe in a short time the fellow would have been dead, because the devil, he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He'll do all this stuff and finally just ends up killing the person. So when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and worshipped him and cried with a loud voice and said, "What have I to do with thee, Jesus, the Son of God? This is the Son of the Most High God. I adjure thee by God that thou torment me not." For he said unto him, "Come out of the man, thou unclean spirit." As soon as Jesus saw this man with an unclean spirit, he had already spoken the word. He said, "Come out of that man, you unclean spirit." And so this man is now crying with a loud voice, saying, "What have I to do with you, Jesus, the Son of the Most High God? Don't torment me," and so on. Verse 9, and he asked him, "What is thy name?" Now this is very interesting. And he answered, saying, "My name is Legion, for we are many." But not just one or two, we are so many. In fact, thousands. Legions is thousands. Thousands of demons. Can you imagine this? Thousands of demons are in this person. And it is an indication of how that whole territory of the Gadarenes, that whole country, has been demonized, has been controlled by the demonic powers. And the territory is ruled and dominated by demonic powers. And that is what has been happening there. And look at this. He says, "We are many." And he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. Now that's very interesting. They want that country. They want to stay in that country. They're telling Jesus, the demons are telling Jesus, "Don't send us away out of this country, because we love this country. We've been a long time in this country. We've been having a lot of control in this country. We've been ruling and reigning in this country. We've had fun in this country. We've been destroying people's lives in this country. We have been the real factor in this country. We've been dominating this country. Please don't chase us out of this country." See, they're interested in the territory. They want to stay there. Isn't that interesting? And now verse 11, "Now there was nigh unto the mountains a great herd of swine feeding." Near the mountain, there's a great group of pigs feeding there. All the devils besought him, saying, "Send us into the swine, that we may enter into them." And forthwith Jesus gave them leave, gave them permission. And the unclean spirits went out and entered into the swine, and And the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. They were about 2,000 and were choked in the sea. Now, a lot of people read this and they say, well, brother, this is proof. Here in this very prosavakam, I've heard preaching saying that God hears the prayers of the devils also. And this is proof of that. That the devils prayed to Jesus saying, don't send us out of this country, send us into the swine. This herd of swine. We'll just go into the herd of swine. And Jesus said, all right, your prayer is heard. So Jesus heard the prayer of the demons, they say. Well, really, it's not so. Jesus doesn't hear the prayers of the demons. See, people have a lot of funny ideas. First of all, Christians don't think their prayers are heard. They are very unsure whether their prayers are heard or not. So that is why they go to great evangelists and here and there and everywhere, because they are not sure of their prayers. At least if he prays, God will hear, they think. They are so unsure whether their prayers are heard, but they are very sure that the demons' prayers are heard. Isn't that something? Christians are strange sometimes. But God doesn't hear the prayers of the demons. Jesus is doing something very purposefully here. The point here is not that Jesus heard the prayers of the demons. He is trying to demonstrate, use this occasion and use this opportunity to demonstrate to the people of that country where he has gone to preach the gospel what the devil is all about. Now, sometimes preaching needs to be accompanied with audio-visual demonstration. I remember in history classes in school and college, we were lectured about World War I, World War II and all of that, but then they showed us very interesting documentaries. The school that I went to, they had an audio-visual hall, and they used to show some very interesting documentaries. I mean, nicely done documentaries in those days, and we never used to miss them. It was so interesting. I always enjoyed them because I understood more of everything in the audio-visual than in the lecture, because the lecture is only audio. I like the visual also. The audio and the visual together produced a great effect. I really understood the subject, It's like that with preaching sometimes. Now, Jesus says, well, I'm going to preach the gospel, but let me give them an audio-visual demonstration. These people are so demonized. See, these people are so ruled by demonic powers. This whole territory is filled with such demonic influence. How do I tell them how bad the devil is? How do I tell them what the devil has come to do? How do I tell them what I've come to do? Let me use this occasion and this opportunity to demonstrate to them what the devil does and what I do. So he said to the evil spirits, go into the swine. He gave them permission to go into the swine, not because he heard the prayers of the demons, but because he wanted to use this as an opportunity for an audiovisual demonstration. He said, go into the swine. As soon as he said that, they went into the swine. About 2,000 pigs were there, and they all came down from this mountaintop and ran violently into the sea and drowned. Now, let's read a little further. And they that fed the swine fled, verse 14, and told it in the city and in the country, and they went out to see what it was that was done. See, the people that fed the swine, they fled into the city and told the people in the city and in the country. And everybody in the city, the country, went out to see what has been done, what was done. And they came to Jesus and see him. They come to Jesus and see him that was possessed with the devil and had the legion, sitting and clothed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Now here is a guy that has been walking around naked in the tombs, tearing himself up and screaming and cutting himself with stones and everything. That guy is seen sitting clothed in his right mind with Jesus. He's a totally opposite person of what he was. He's clothed well, he's sitting, he's in his right mind. He's not tearing himself anymore, he's not screaming anymore. He's sitting quietly, he's well dressed, and he's over there with Jesus. That is one picture on one side. And then they see all the pigs, 2,000 of them, floating in the sea. That's another picture. So they see here the man sitting with Jesus, clothed and in his right mind, and the pigs floating in the sea. What a wonderful audio-visual demonstration. Jesus is showing them, this is what I came to do. Look at this man. What was he like before? And what is he like now? See, this is what I can do for every single one of you if you will trust in me and if you will believe in me. This is exactly what I'll do. I'll break the fetters and the chain of the devil over your life and set you free.
At the cross, where I first saw the light, and the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I'm happy all the day. At the cross, where I first saw the light, and the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I'm happy all the day. I'm not ashamed to own my Lord or to defend His cause. Maintain the honor of His word, the glory of His cross. At the cross, where I first saw the light, and the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I'm happy all the day. At the cross, where I first saw the light, and the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there. Jesus, my God, I know His name. His name is all my trust. Nor will He put my soul to shame, nor let my hope be lost. At the cross, where I first saw the light, and the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I'm happy all the day. At the cross, where I first saw the light, and the burden